Hello, my dear friends, again. Always nice to be here. I know I promised to have that video almost immediately after the first part, but it took me 2 or 3 weeks to put this together. This is a very heavy-duty video, and I hope you enjoy as much as I enjoyed putting it together. First, before I start, I want to let you know that I am very humbled when I meet people, and I met, I think, around 200 of you in the last month, because I offered free meetings in one of my short videos there. And so many of you been following me for years. And like I said, that was first of all very energizing, but very humbling too. So welcome back to the second part of this episode of people against aware people against AI people. But this is on much more than that, and also it stands alone. You don't have to watch the first part, because I'm going to kind of go over it. I also want you to know, and obviously this is all subjective, that from my subjective perspective, everything I'm telling you is true. And I believe that one day it will be proven that way. At this stage, it cannot be proven. It can be only, I can support it, but I cannot prove it. Today, I want to go deeper, much deeper than I probably ever went into this behind the scenes of the universe, of the reality. And as a result, the video will be also longer than normal. I would even say that today is probably a tipping point in what I say and how I say it, and what I'm willing to get into. I would even call it kind of a sharp turn. So let me just reiterate my stated purpose here, both on Earth and on this channel. So I'm really here to find and connect the people who grasp and comprehend these concepts. And then, once we get connected, I want to unite this unique group to create enough momentum to bring in a new reality, or, as I always say, to change the world. The key to everything is really to look from the programmer's perspective. There is absolutely no other way to understand where we are, why we are, what it is, how to change, how to improve, or anything, if you look from the bottom up. And I know that this is what religions, trained us to do, always look from the bottom up. Actually, I'm listening right now to a book, an audiobook called World Without End. It's a 50-hour book, and it's all taking place in the 13th century England. Amazing. So, in this book, it's the extreme of people looking from the bottom up. And it's a great contrast to what I'm trying to say here. You see, the science and religion also will not do it for us, because they are closed systems. Both science and religions, they are closed systems. You can only go that far, and that's that. So what I'm doing here is really an open system. You can not only go to where I take you, but you can from there explore many other areas because it's all open. And when you do that, your life will become much more meaningful. I promise you that. So, I know that question was asked many times. What is God? What did God want to achieve and why? And how is he going about achieving that? Okay, so this is really the more or less the framework from this video. And believe it or not, I'll show you at the end, we'll talk about it a little bit, is that it connects to reality, transurfing, and many other concepts. Everything really, like I said many times, everything is connected. You see, you must walk in the same direction as the programmer if you want to use your full potential. There's absolutely no other way. You cannot swim against the current, even though most people do. And, when you swim against the current, obviously you waste lots of energy and you don't advance very much. And this is what happens, like I said, when you try to go against the direction of what the programmer set out in this reality. This is really what it means to be in the flow. It means to walk in the same direction as the programmer. And I will try and probably succeed in showing you what that direction is. Okay? And once you grasp that, everything else in your life will become possible. Okay, so what I want to do today is to set you up or set you on a path so you can walk in the same direction and have a great reality. In this video, specifically, I want to discuss two of the most important systems the programmer uses in our reality that were set up from the very beginning. And this also makes me kind of realize that in order to put all this together, not only these two systems, but everything I'm going to talk about and I talked about, I will have to write the book I was always talking about, and I will do it. Now that I'm back to my normal self, I will do it. All right. I'm going to use a metaphor from the sports world to demonstrate the first system that the programmer is using here. Okay? And it's called relays. You know, when people run and pass, like in the picture here, they pass the stick, and everybody runs a short section of the whole course. And if the course is maybe 10 kilometers, there is 10 runners or 100 runners. Each one runs either 100 meters or 1 kilometer. This is really what happens in our reality. You see, every human in every generation runs, say, 1 kilometer. But the course is many millions of kilometers long because the course was set up by the programmer. We run only very short sections, right? Our ancestors ran many kilometers, but each one of them ran only 1 kilometer. And how they ran, how fast and direction and many other factors determined how our reality is today. So our running, everybody who runs affects all future generations that are going to run in that race. Okay? And what we also have to realize that even though we only see this 1 kilometer we run, and this is where we focus, this is this 90 or 100 years, right? We focus and we think that this is the whole thing. I mean, we read history, but today people are less and less interested in history, which is the previous runners, and we don't see the future, even though it's written. You can actually, and I will tell you, you can if you want to see what is the whole course, it's available. It's not hidden. It's not a secret. And the programmer works in very long-term cycles. He works on the whole course or more than one course, right? But again, we only focus on this 1 kilometer we run. And we cannot have a satisfying or fulfilling life or understand the purpose of life if we only focus on that 1 kilometer, right? Even though, as I said, most people focus on that. Another thing I want to tell you that this generation is actually the last kilometer. And all the parts of the puzzle actually came together in this generation. It's the first time that we have the technology to actually, for one person to talk to the whole world instantaneously. That never happened before. There is also a situation that one person can destroy the world. Some people, and in dictatorships like North Korea, if they wake up with the wrong mood in the morning, they can destroy the world. There's absolutely nothing stopping them except the programmer and the rules, which I mentioned in many of my other videos. Okay, this is also why many calendars end at this time. Like if you look at the Mayan calendar and the Chinese calendar, and I think there are a few others that ended in the last, either in 2012 or they are going to end up very soon. And if you look at the Kabbalah and many of the Jewish writings, they also talk about this generation as being the generation of the Messiah. Okay? And there is a reason for it. There is never smoke with no fire. So this concept must be understood, this relays and the cycles, the way we see them and the way the programmers see them, if we want to make human sense of the world. Otherwise, we will never make sense of it. Nothing will make sense, and this is really what happens, right? And like I said at the beginning, is that nothing will have a meaning until you align yourself with the whole course, rather than only with your 1 kilometer. So what is the whole course? You can look at it from two different perspectives. You can look at it from the religious, or not religious. I don't want to use religion here. From the biblical perspective, okay, where the first course was from creation to Abraham. The second, from Abraham to settling in the land of Israel, Canaan, as it was called then. And the third one, which we are in right now, like I said at the end of, is from Israel to a new reality, which is just around the corner. If you want to explore more religious, not again religious, if you want to explore more biblical references, there is one reference to this last course, which is from Israel to current times, and it is in the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 32. I will insert a link here at the bottom here, okay, in the description. This chapter is called Listen. Actually, I'll show it to you here. It's called Listen, O Heavens, and I will speak, and let the earth hear the words of my mouth. That's Moses actually reciting a poem that God asked him to teach the children of Israel. And this really has the whole course, this last course in it. If you want, we can look at it also through the eyes of the programmer, which is a more logical description of those courses. And the way I would place it is that it's from the first course was to create this reality and let it evolve until an intelligent consciousness can be inserted into it. which is the creation of the human, right? Then let it run until the point where it can change reality, that consciousness that was created, and then change the catalyst, which is conflict at this point, to one that can evolve that intelligence, that human, into the ability to having a cup of coffee with God and keep his interest. This is actually something I took from a book, I think, by Itzhak Bentov. Forget the name of the book. It's something to do with the pendulum. And what he says in there is that the ultimate goal of God, the programmer, is to have the human, one or more than one, evolve to such a level that he will be able to sit with them for a cup of coffee and have a meaningful conversation for God. Not for the human, it will definitely be meaningful, right? So those are there is two courses here. Like I said, the first one was from creating this reality until it evolved enough with living things so it could insert a human in here. And the second one is from that point until that human can sit and have a cup of coffee with God. And keep in mind also that at the end of every course, there is a big party. It's a good one. So I think that in your lifetime, you will be participating in one of those. All right. The second system that the programmer created, remember, this was the first system that we discussed here, talking about the relays and the cycles. And the second system that the programmer created here is the duality, and this is what I talked about in the first video, of aware people versus AI people. Okay, that's how I started to describe these two groups in the previous video. And I also put a link to that previous video, again, at the bottom here in the description if you want to watch it. The result of this situation is that the world is divided into two distinct groups of people. You know, I call them the aware people and the AI people, but Dolores Cannon, she coined them as she coined the modern concept of backdrop people. She called them the backdrop people. And it's like the people in the movie that are in the background and have no role. But in our case, they have a great role. So this is not exactly fitting to say that they have no role, because this whole dynamic of the world, in order to make it really dynamic and not people just sitting there and having fun and nothing happens, like before the flood, if you want to look at the Bible, so most of those conflicts in the world, and the conflict is actually the engine of creating action here. God installed conflict here on purpose between those two groups. It's both between nations and between people. This is those two groups that continuously have the conflict and fuel this reality. So I will just go very quickly over what I said in my last video and the main points. Okay, so I showed that if you look at Genesis, at the creation, there were two creations actually there. And actually I showed the slide, I think it was chapter 1, And then in chapter 2 was the second creation. The first one was where God created, he created really just he split himself, his consciousness, into many, call it smaller consciousnesses, and he created a human, but not in flesh, not in matter. He was only a human that he created, which was like himself, but only a fraction of that, but a virtual, not made of matter. And in the second creation, which is in chapter 2 of Genesis, he actually created a physical person. It says there that he took dust from the earth, and he shaped it, made it into a man, and then he blew life into it. Also in the first creation, he's talking about, he's saying that that man was in God's image and in God's like God, and that could not have been a physical human, because God is not a physical thing that looks like a man. So when he says, I created the man in my image and my likeness, it means that he made that man only as a consciousness, not a physical man. The second man, like I said, was created as a physical man, and Adam and Eve are actually physical people. They don't have the God consciousness in them. That's why they act the way they act, and that's why also Cain, which is, if you think about it, he is the first generation after Adam and Eve, and he really is a murderer, right? He kills his brother. So it doesn't make sense in any way, whether you're religious or not, on how you want to read the Bible, that a human that was created in God's image and likeness, right? Their son is going to be a murderer. And also keep in mind that God did not punish Cain for killing his brother, knowing that he doesn't know what's right and what's wrong. So he even, I think, gave him that sign, the Cain sign, to protect him, so nobody hurts him, right? So what does it mean? And from that, my understanding is, like I said, that there were two types of humans created. One didn't materialize yet, and one did materialize. And that went on with only AI, call it people, until Abraham. Abraham and Sarah, let me show you here a picture of that. Okay. You see, Abraham and Sarah, they both had their name changed very late in life. When they were about 99 years old, God added the letter Hey, the Hebrew letter Hey, to their names, because Abram was actually Abram, not Abraham, and Sarah was Sari, I think. And God added the letter Hey to both of them, and the letter Hey symbolizes God in the Torah. So only then the virtual and the earthy man got united. And that's why God insisted that Isaac, which was born, the only son that was born to the two of them, even though Abraham had children before, but God insisted that Isaac is the one that is going to continue this chain of people that are aware people. Okay? Because that was the unity of both the material person with the soul or the consciousness of God. All right? And from that point, the world actually started to have both groups. See here, they got united as like a symbolism, the two people. And like I said, Isaac was the one that was the first generation of what I call the aware person. And then, of course, it continued with Jacob and the 12 sons of Jacob's, which already at that point, not all of them were actually aware people. The mix started from that point. And where we are today, like I said, we have a mixed bag of both. And the next thing that I want to talk about is actually what I wanted to say is that the conversion of Abraham and Sarah means that artificial intelligence people can actually become aware people under certain circumstances. And this is why sometimes I recommend a name change to my clients, because the name has a direct effect on the personality. And as we saw here, by adding one letter to the names, God actually changed these people completely. So why was this whole thing necessary? Again, the two teams were needed. A team cannot play against itself. So two teams were needed in this world to create the dynamics and the movement forward for God to achieve his goal of getting action and traction. Okay? Like if having all humans in the image of God would actually result in a uniform species lacking the ability to create like a diverse and dynamic reality or world. And this is the reason for it. Keep in mind, very important, that from God's perspective, this is not about good and bad. It's just two teams. Okay? The good and bad is created by us, or by one team looking at the other team. It becomes the enemy in many ways. So let's see now how we got from Abraham and Sarah to 2024. Okay? But before we do that, we must understand some fundamentals. God is a consciousness, and nothing else exists. Okay? There is no material world. This is only something we perceive through our consciousness. The only way to create is within the consciousness. Okay? The only way, like in the Torah, by the way, God says, there is nothing else but me. Even though it's translated to English, in most English Bibles in the wrong way. It's translated to say that no other God beside me. But this is not what God says. He says twice, there is nothing but me. And this is the truth. There is nothing but God. The whole reality that we live in resides inside God's consciousness. And everything in it is part of God's consciousness, everything in that reality. This is actually what Spinoza meant when he said that God resides in everything. It's kind of similar. So if you want to learn more about this whole concept, you can go back to my two-part videos about the infinity paradox. And again, I will insert the link in the at the bottom here in the description. Okay, so now that we have this world where there is those two teams, the real challenge begins. You see, the AI people have a significant advantage in the physical world. It's very similar to today's AI, where a human cannot win any kind of a game against a computer. It's not possible. And that's been like this for a long time, even before computers became very, very sophisticated like they are today. And God, the programmer, knowing this, had to equip the aware people with tools to level the field. Otherwise, they wouldn't exist for a long time. And this is where the Torah comes. The Torah is not a book of religion, and it's not a book of values, even though it has all these things in it. But the biggest secret of the Torah is actually the reason for its writing. And it could have been named how to keep the AI people out, or how to defend yourself against them. It would be just as good a name for the Torah. Except, God never told us, all the people at that time, what it really is. He just told them, that those are the commandments and this is what they have to do. And if they don't do it, they will get punished, and this is what will happen to them. But what he didn't tell them is that he's not punishing them. They're punishing themselves, because they will open the door to the AI people to basically take control, take over. Okay? And this is what happened. This is exactly what happened. They didn't follow what that book, the manual, told them to do. And this is why very quickly, the AI people, which had that huge advantage in this reality, actually took control. The last time where the aware people were in charge was during the King Solomon era. At that time, King Solomon, according to the Bible, he was the wisest and the almost the ultimate ruler, at least of this part of the world. We don't know what happened in other parts of the world, because the Bible talks only about, the Middle East, more or less. But that period of King Solomon was where the aware people were in total control. But they also obeyed 100% by the rules of the Torah. And from there, it started to deteriorate. Even though I can give you the good news that at the end, love and compassion will win. But keep in mind that the cycles are very long, okay? Even though we are now at the end of a cycle. So let's look again at the two teams and how it affects today's reality. I showed you in the previous video that most of today's world leaders are actually AI people. And you see, if you look at their faces, see the second from right, Putin, you look at those faces, these people don't have a soul. They are just machines, just like that other image here on the right that was generated by a computer. And they took control of the world, and all the aware people fell asleep and became divided. And they continue to do so by imposing uniformity instead of individuality and uniqueness. If you notice, in all the countries, even in the West, in democracies, the government or the leader always tries to make the people uniform. It starts in the school system, where a child, like if a child is aware, he gets his head, or she gets their head chopped, even in the West. You're not supposed to be aware. You're supposed to be uniform, to fit the system, right? Be productive, be efficient, and you know, there is no school that exists today anywhere in the world that will teach the students, for example, that the universe is based on uncertainty. And as such, the only way you can deal with it, you have to be unique, because the universe adjusts to everybody uniquely. So if everybody is uniform, it just doesn't work. And that's how they can rule, you know, the AI people can rule the aware people by forcing that uniformity. And this is the first thing that we need to fight, okay? Like North Korea would be probably the extreme example of this uniformity, followed by China and other countries in the world. But in North Korea, if you watch any videos or anything, what's going on there, people have, like, if two people don't move their head or bow at the same time to the leader, you know, they basically get shot. And that's how he keeps, you know, that's how he keeps them under control. This is one of the reasons why Hitler wanted to kill all the aware people. Like he was, you know, he wanted to kill the Jews, he wanted to kill the Gypsies, he wanted to kill anybody that was aware, because not that he understood the system, I don't think so, but instinctively he knew that this is the way to keep control. So the next question is, how is it going to get resolved? Like, you know, and it's too late to go back to the Torah, because the train already left the station, and this, you know, this is not going to fix it, because the enemy or the AI people are already inside. The Torah was supposed to keep them outside, but once they got in, you know, then different tools are needed to fix this reality. So keep in mind that, like I said at the beginning, the aware people, when they were created only as a consciousness, were created by splitting or dividing God's consciousness, just like that. It went into little pieces, which are all the people. So if we can put it together again, you get God again, you see? And you get the power. You don't even have to put the whole thing together. If you put any section of it together, you will get power. And this is what needs to happen to actually change this reality, because the programmer doesn't want to get involved in this. He set everything up to run by itself. It's like if you have a game where you know, there's games for kids. I was playing with my grandchildren on the weekend, where, you know, you have those metal balls, and they run through this whole track until they get to a certain point. Like, you don't want to go and stop them or adjust them or do anything, because then the game doesn't work. You want them to run through the whole thing by themselves. And this is really what the programmer wants of us. He wants us to fix this and get to the right spot. And we will. And that's why we need to do it. And by connecting them back, we will enable abilities that are unavailable today as it is right now. And, you know, I can say, again, subjectively, this knowledge was kind of downloaded to me. I didn't come up with it by myself. I don't have this ability. And one of the reasons I started this YouTube channel back in 2016 was to try and bring as many aware people as possible together. And I think I quite succeeded. You know, I don't have million subscribers, but the people I have, like I said at the very beginning, I spoke to many of them, and at least, you know, I'm not the judge to say it, but from my perspective, they are aware people. So, and also today, the first time in modern history, it is actually possible to do it, because we have the tools where one person can actually talk to the whole world. Almost everybody has a smartphone, so we never had that ability I mean, even when Jesus did what he did, it took 100 years before that spread wide enough to start changing the world, right? And by the way, talking about Jesus, he had a very high proportion of an aware person. And that's why he also could go through the torture to his body and take it. And at least, again, from my perspective, he was not different from any other aware person, except that he was more aware. It does not also have to be all the aware people in the world have to be united. Like I said, it's enough to bring a certain number together, and that will spread just like a virus. It will bring more and more, and once it gets to the tipping point, it will just roll by itself. But we have to understand the higher meaning of this reality, of which part I just described here in this video. So, and I will explain the other parts as well. But you can, if you consider yourself to be an aware person and want to participate in this journey, watch the videos under the playlist on my channel where it says, "What is God?" Because there I have mostly videos that explain the different aspects of this reality, why we are here, and where it's going, and I think it will open your eyes and your consciousness to understand where you are and how to swim with the current, not against the current. And as I get this knowledge, which is downloaded to me, I will always bring it back here. So you can expect many more videos on this subjects and topics. And surprise, in the upcoming video on which I'm working right now, which is basically how I perceive reality transurfing from all things, after 8 years that I've been dealing with it in many different ways, teaching and analyzing and so on, I will actually show you in that video how everything I'm talking about here relates and connects to the concepts of reality transurfing and all these other books, Neville Goddard and what have you. On a different topic, if you would like to be on my mailing list, which I send emails, I would say between 4 and 6 times a year, and I usually send links to summaries of reality transurfing, free books, about reality, and free or discounted courses like the one I did sent to everybody when William Whitecloud did his seminars, and he's doing it again. So if you are interested, actually one starts tomorrow. I'm in Vancouver, so it's evening here, and it starts tomorrow at 3 p.m. my time. So we're looking at less than 24 hours, but I will try to send that email out either tonight or tomorrow morning with the link to where to register. Actually, you know what? I will put the link to register to his free course, which he's doing, like I said, he's doing it on 2 time zones, one for Australia, which fits North America as well, and that starts tomorrow at 3 o'clock, which is Tuesday. It will be March 19th here. March 19th. And another one is doing, I think, UK time, which starts sometimes in April. So I'll put a link here at the bottom, at the description for both. He's doing them both for free. Normally he's charging $3,000, and I highly recommend it because he's teaching you how to manifest in a way that is very different from reality transurfing or any other concept. But if you want to join my mailing list and get this kind of information, I will insert a link here. You will come to my landing page, and you leave your email there, and you can also pick up some goodies there, some gifts that I have there. And, you know, as always, you are more than welcome to visit me for guidance and mentoring at talkforlife.com. Again, the link is here, which actually is changing now. I'm changing my whole thing probably in April to academyforlife.co. So it won't be Talk for Life anymore. I'm changing my whole system. And I'm coming up with new programs and many new things. So if you are interested, you can, but in the meantime, you can go to talkforlife.com. I offer there an intro session, and usually those intro sessions are all you need. So, you know, I can promise you that I can and I will change your life, even in this short intro session. And I'm sure that more than 1,000 people that I met will testify to that. So, until next time, enjoy every second of your reality. And my blessing to you and yours. And we'll see you soon.